Welcome back to Composition and its Allies. My name is Barney. I'm a classical composer, and this is a channel for composers as well as performers interested in composition. In today's episode of Fundamentals of Harmony, we're going to look at the rules for root position chords. Please note that this is coming from a French perspective. Let's begin. Essential rules: no parallel fifths and no parallel octaves under any circumstance ever. Movement. Voices should move as little as possible. Preferred would be to not move at all. Stationary. Next option would to be moved by a step. And as a final resort, you can leap. An exception would be the soprano sometimes moves around for melodic reasons. It'll leap because it's kind of boring if the soprano stays stationary. Doublings. You want to double the tonic, okay, unless you have a good reason not to. For the deceptive cadence, we double the third, so that would be a good exception not to. And maybe sometimes for aesthetic reasons, you want to double the third. I would say I never ever double the fifth for root position chords because it's almost always going to cause a lot of problems. There are two types of motion of the bass. The bass is either going to move by step or it's going to move by leap. When the bass moves by step, you want to move the other voices in opposite direction to the bass. Okay, a big exception would be the deceptive cadence, in which one of the voices has to move up to resolve the leading tone. Okay, and I do have a whole tutorial on how to deal with the deceptive cadence, so you can go ahead and check it out. And I would say there's one other exception that Bernaud recommends. He's my main harmony textbook that I use. It has not been published and it's in French, but he does allow for inner voices to jump up in the same direction as the bass in order to regain spacing. But this is rare. I mention it for later on. When the bass moves by leap, you want to keep the same notes common, okay, and the other voices move as elegantly as possible. If the bass is moving by a third, then you want to keep two notes in common. And if the bass is moving by a fourth, you have one note in common. Now, an exception to this would be regaining good spacing. For example, coming out of a deceptive cadence, we go from a 6 to a 4 chord. Many times you have to make the tenor and alto leap in order to not get too far away from the soprano, which we'll be talking about in a future episode. And there can be aesthetic reasons that you want to make the voices leap, quote, unnecessarily, but for now, just focus on the convention. Remember that thirds and sixes are inversions of each other, so if the bass is a 6, you follow the same rules as thirds, and likewise the fourths and fifths. I forgot to mention that for seconds, the inversion is a seventh. It's unlikely the bass is going to move by a seventh, but if it does, then you'll follow the same rules for seconds. Thank you so much for watching, and in the next episode, we're going to look at these rules and actions. Have a great day.